Welcome everyone, Costin here with the discussion about Activision Blizzard, an update on the legal issues that they are facing as a company, and things have actually gotten worse for them as they are now being investigated on a federal level, not just being sued by the state of California or by a state agency of California. From PC Gamer, the information originally came out on the Wall Street Journal, but I prefer the PC Gamer article. SEC subpoenas Bobby Kotick as part of federal investigation into Activision. The Securities and Exchange Commission is digging into the company's handling of workplace misconduct complaints, so it is completely related to what went down recently at Blizzard. Activision Blizzard is now subject of a wide-ranging Securities and Exchange Commission investigation into its handling of employee complaints about sexual misconduct and discrimination in the workplace, according to the Wall Street Journal. The SEC, an agency of the U.S. government, is asking for notes recorded during board meetings since 2019, the files of 6 former employees, and separation agreements from this year. The SEC has also subpoenaed several of the company's executives, including CEO Bobby Kotick, and wants records of Kotick's communications with other company executives about sexual harassment and discrimination complaints. The investigation adds to the pressure that Activision Blizzard is already facing in the wake of a discrimination and sexual harassment lawsuit filed against it by the California's Department of Fair Employment House in July. That lawsuit was expanded in August with the DFAH claimed that Activision was actively hampering its legal action, including by shredding documents related to investigations and complaints, and hiring an anti-union law firm to audit its internal policies. Corporate commitments to change and new hires in the HR department have also failed to mollify employees. Last week, the employee group known as A Better ABK, a reference to Activision Blizzard King, joined with the Communication Workers of America union to file a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board, alleging that the company threatened and intimidated employees in order to keep them from discussing alleged labor violations. And then an SEC spokesperson said in an email to PC Gamer that the agency does not comment on the existence or non-existence of a possible investigation. An Activision Blizzard representative, however, confirmed that an investigation is underway. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is conducting an investigation concerning the company's disclosures regarding employment matters and related issues, and has issued subpoenas to the company and several current and former employees that seek information related to this. The company is cooperating with the SEC. Now, on this subject, this is pretty relevant and a significant escalation compared to what's been going on. And if the National Labor Board gets involved, then that's also a major escalation. If they get involved because of employee complaints, that would be a pretty big deal. Activision is a really big company. It's the biggest gaming company in the United States. If they get taken to task for their employment practices and how they've treated employees by the federal government or by agencies in the federal government, or tied to the federal government, I guess I would rather say, then things are going to be pretty bad for them. Now, a lot of people that are in the know about how things go down in Washington and how the SEC operates and National Labor Board operates and all that, they're not very hopeful about that Activision would get anything more than a slap on the wrist, even in the worst case scenario. And there is reason to believe that the most likely scenario in terms of what happens to Activision, worst case scenarios, I guess you could say, what happens to Activision is going to be a slap on the wrist, a settlement. They're going to pay some money, change some practices, but no one's really going to, be fined a significant sum of money, as significant as they probably should deserve. And it's not really going to be a proper court case. And with California, they're very likely looking to settle and change some business practices. There's already been people that have been fired from Blizzard, quite a few people. Some changes have been made, and that might be really all the changes they make, as well as some hiring practices. I don't know. But that's what's going to happen with the federal government, the state agencies. But here's the thing. Activision is selling games to people. And while they do have Call of Duty, and Call of Duty will be played by a large number of people regardless, Blizzard's situation, however, is not good. outside of older versions of game, be it classic, potentially classic fresh for World of Warcraft, and now Diablo 2 remastered or resurrected as it's called, coming out soon, they really don't have new games coming out in the near future. And even if they were to say release Overwatch next year, which is very questionable, even if they were to release that, it's quite unlikely that it would be enough. Like, what are we going to get from Blizzard in 2022? Maybe Overwatch 2, maybe, and that's a big, big maybe. And maybe and maybe we'll get an expansion for World of Warcraft that isn't going to completely suck. And again, a big maybe. Are we going to get another expansion? Is it going to be good? Is it going to save World of Warcraft from the state it currently is in? Doubtful, really, on many levels. Very doubtful that they will be able to... A lot of people are skeptical right now. A lot of people don't have a good opinion of Blizzard, and they're in a pretty poor state as a company right now with their games lineup, with their products. A lot of people have quit retail World of Warcraft. That's been hemorrhaging an enormous number of people. And that's right now where, you know, the only MMOs you have to play are old ones like Final Fantasy XIV or Final Fantasy Online or Guild Wars 2. People have been jumping from those, you know, trying those out. Content creators have done that. I would say it's actually a pretty big deal that Blizzard has lost quite a large number of content creators for their own game. That is actually a pretty big deal. So their products are not doing very well, and that just means that all we're really going to be hearing about Blizzard for the most part over the next year or so is probably negative stories. That's kind of a problem for them because they will love nothing more than to move on from this. The people in charge in Blizzard, the people in charge of Activision will love nothing more than to move on from these negative stories and resolve the situation as quickly as possible. And they are not going to be able to do so. That's the big problem. And hell, even with Diablo 2 Resurrected, it's not Blizzard making Diablo 2 Resurrected, best as I can tell. It's a subsidiary that's handling that. I mean, sure, Blizzard is in charge, right? They probably have the final say, but the people doing the grunt work, if you want to call it that, are not Blizzard. Blizzard is fucking around with Shadowlands as it's collapsing in on itself. Like, what's the game that's in a good state right now outside of like these older versions like Classic? What's a more recent game that Blizzard has in a good state right now? Hearthstone. That's kind of it. If even that, really. That's a bit of a problem. Like, if you're a gaming company, and you're no longer capable of making new games that people are interested in, what do you have to offer? So that's one big problem for them. That's one aspect about it. The other aspect is more tied to Activision's situation specifically. See, there are a bunch of shareholders, investors that would love nothing more than to throw Bobby Kotick out. In fact, there's quite a lot of tension between the board and shareholders. Because the board wants to protect Bobby Kotick, bonuses, etc. A lot of investors are like, no. And this was long before anything of this kind of scandal came up. This might be the thing that pushes that situation over the edge and finally sees Activision getting rid of Bobby Kotick. If only we would be so lucky. Maybe that happens, maybe that doesn't happen, but it's certainly going to result in a worse situation between the board, investors, shareholders, in Activision itself. It's going to put pressure on Bobby Kotick. It's going to put pressure on the board. It's going to put pressure on people in charge in general of Activision Blizzard. And things are not great right now for them in general. What do I foresee personally? Well, I don't see a bright future for Blizzard. I do look at the people that have been put in charge of Blizzard and I can say, okay, you know, one guy is someone who's done all the mythic dungeons at plus 20. Maybe he understands the fucking game better than Brack did. Brack was like, you think you do, but you don't. Holy crap. I mean, putting that guy in charge was the most stupid decision that could have been made in Activision Blizzard. But anyway, And I'm talking here about in terms of the quality of the games, like the scandal. That's a whole different discussion. His responsibility and that kind of thing. That's a whole different discussion. But yeah, that was a horrible decision. It bit them in the ass, and people are no longer willing to tolerate Blizzard's bullshit. Plain and simple. Even the most recent stuff. Oh, we hear you. We're gonna fix these things. Blizzard. People told you these were gonna be issues, like with channel lands, all that. People told you these were going to be issues on PTRs and betas. You didn't listen to them. You didn't listen for years. And then, we're going to fix them now. It's like, we've been here before again and again with expansion after expansion with World of Warcraft. And now you're turning around and saying, oh, we'll fix them. We'll change the way we do things. No, I don't think so. I don't trust you. I think people who trust Blizzard at this point, I don't know. I think there's a great deal of naivety and foolishness if you want to trust Blizzard at this point. And this is the thing. You know, you might say, oh, they've got new leadership. They need to prove themselves. They need to prove that they're willing to do things in a different way. They need to prove that they're not completely horrible pieces of shit as the other people that were in charge of Blizzard have been. They need to prove themselves. Blizzard, the trust the community has in Blizzard is at an all-time low. And they need to regain that trust. Can they? Call me skeptical. Costin here, signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more. I'm sure this isn't the last that we've heard of this story, or worse developments that might happen. If the National Board gets involved, Labor Board gets involved, expect significant escalation with this.